Since the heavenfall, Ina, the curator, have been imprisoned here for 1,000 years.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm RevPGs and today I'm reviewing something very special to me, and that is Infinity Nikki. But before we do get into the video, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, it really helps. And now, with that, let's get into the review. Starting off with the story, I can honestly say I've really enjoyed my time with it. There are currently 8 main story chapters, and I mostly enjoyed my experience throughout each and every one of these chapters. The first chapter was very cozy, it got straight into it, wasn't anything serious, and as each chapter went by, things did get a bit darker, the stakes were higher, but I was expecting a much darker story like people said it was, but it wasn't really that dark. It's very, I would say, beginner friendly to a story game. It's nothing crazy, it doesn't do anything special, but it's nice. The dialogue is extremely good in my opinion. It isn't drawn out like Genshin, and you don't have to spend too much time on the story itself. I did spend a lot of time on the story because I took my time with everything, but if you just want to rush through, play the story, you could do that, and you don't have to worry about dialogue really dragging out. There is no skip button currently for some people that want to replay the game afterward on a different account, or they want to play it just on a different account to start off from scratch and they just want to skip the story. That's not a thing at the minute, but they are implementing that soon, I believe. Honestly, I did enjoy my experience with the story. My only complaint is the kind of locked chapter 8 at the minute, because I haven't finished the story, mainly because I can't. You have to complete a bunch of side content first before you can get the I think it's like the Wishful Rosa outfit or something, which is the outfit you need to complete chapter 8, and you have to do all these fashion competition things, and oh my god bro, there's so much to do in this game, which we'll move on to later. But yeah, the story was nice, it was compact, it wasn't too crazy, there wasn't a lot going on in some places, but in some chapters I really enjoyed the little twists. They weren't anything crazy, like I said. Some of them were predictable, like certain betrayals, that's all I'm gonna say, and everything just felt nice, warm and cozy. And there were a little bits of, a little hints of darkness within the story, dark moments happening. But other than that, I really enjoyed the story, though there are things that could be improved. But we'll see in the future what, the story entails. On the surface, Infinity Nikki may seem like a typical dress-up game with a little bit more to it, but it's actually way more in depth than that. For example, there's a plethora of different content to play through, there's many events, and there's so much to do. But before we get into that, we're going to be speaking about the gameplay loop. The gameplay loop mostly consists of collecting materials around the map, collecting outfit sketches, finding win stars for upgrading your skills, and exploring the map. There's many more things to do, but we'll get into that later. There are also many other side activities to play through, such as mini games. One example of this would be the many board games you can find throughout the world. I'll show some gameplay in the background of these. There's like 4 different types of these board games so far, and there's many of them to play around the world. Some I've actually struggled on. There's also many interactable objects depending on what outfit you're using. Like there's one outfit that makes you shrink, there's one outfit that makes you fly, there's one outfit that makes you fly further, and there's so much you could do in this game with these side activities. There's many puzzles to find, there's so much to explore. The world map is absolutely bloody massive for a 1.0 release of a gacha game. I think it might be the largest map I've ever seen in a new gacha game before. It may even be larger than the whole of the Genshin map up to Inazuma, I believe. I may be wrong on that, but it seems to be that way. There is so much to collect, and maybe a bit too much to collect if I'm being honest. There's literally like 500 win stars in every, not win stars, the other thing, I can't remember what it is, but it's pretty much like your elemental sigils in Genshin, or stuff like that, where you have to basically go up to this weird dragon guy and you have to give him these little sigil type things, and then in exchange you get rewards. But there are so many of these and they are extremely hard to find, some of them. There's just so much to do and find and explore. You can also go up to these bike stations and have a little bike ride. There's racing. There's also obviously your fashion aspect of the side activities, I would say, which is your fashion competitions, which is also consisting of an endgame mode where you have to pretty much mix and match your outfits, you know, reach certain goals, and you kind of have to match your outfit to the category, pretty much like Dress to Impress, but a bit harder in my opinion. This endgame was super fun to play through. I've only just unlocked it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you guys the gameplay in the background. I'm pretty sure I recorded some. If I didn't, you'll still see it anyway. I'll have to re-record that. But the point is, there is so much to do. You will not get bored, and there will never be a moment where there's nothing to do. I will say that may be a problem for some people, but don't forget there's not much combat in this, and there's not much to do in terms of endgame just yet. So I have a feeling they put a lot of content in the game from release just to keep you guys entertained, keep me entertained as well. And to be honest, at some points I did feel a little bored whilst exploring, because I was just like, oh, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. But from each region, it's completely different, the puzzles are. I'm still discovering new things about the world. There's so many materials to collect, there's so many animals to walk up to, you could take their fur and that. There's so many cute and hidden details to every dungeon. There is parkour. This game is also a platformer. I'll show a bit of the platforming in the background. Absolutely loved it. It reminded me of a brilliant game called Epic Nikki, which was a game that pretty much made my childhood. There's a remake of that, actually, speaking of that, which I will be playing one day, and I will be doing a review on it, hopefully, because it is one of my favourite games of all time. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked. But let's just say there is so much to do in this game, you'll never get bored. And I would love to just, go into depth about everything, but I just want to give my honest thoughts about everything before I go into depth with other things. Maybe I'll have a different video where I do a retrospective of the 1.0 update. I'm not too sure though. But for now, let's move on to the music. Starting off really strong with the music, honestly. Every single track was memorable. Every single little tiny bit of audio, even the background sounds, like the animals in the background, the wind, everything just felt perfect. The sound design was amazing, which really added to the aesthetic of how pretty this game is. But the music itself was absolutely phenomenal in places. There were vocal tracks, there were village tracks. There's many different music tracks in this game that specifically suit the regions they're in, the area you're in, if you're in a boss battle, and yes, there is bosses in this game, I'll get into that later, but every single track in this OST fits perfectly to the topic or whatever is going on in the story, to the area you're currently in, to what you're doing. Everything felt perfect. The rain with the music, you'll have some rainy different music on whilst the rain's going on, and it just feels so relaxing and picturesque. And obviously there is a photo mode as well, and taking pictures of just the background whilst all this music is going on, it's so relaxing, and it really does give the game an even more cozy feeling than I was expecting. I knew this game would be cozy, but not to the point where I could just sit down, relax, and I would feel literally zero stress, because this game is so relaxing with its music, its gameplay, its mechanics, and there's not really a point in the game where I felt like I was annoyed at it because it was too hard. There were hard parts, but I couldn't just be annoyed at the game because there were so many cozy aspects to it. It kind of outweighed the harder parts, which are the puzzles and some buggy mechanics within the combat, but again, that's fixed now. But yeah, the music is honestly brilliant, so let's move on to the fashion mechanics. So, how about the main system in this game? Well, honestly, even though I did say there are many more aspects to this game, it does mainly focus on your fashion and your outfits. You've got ability outfits that obviously give you different types of abilities. As I said earlier, there's one that makes you float, there's one that gives you a longer distance of floating, and some outfits only work in certain regions. I hope they change this, because it'd be fun to use all of my ability outfits in any region across the map. But yeah, not going to be talking about the ability outfits as much because that's something you want to experience in the game for yourself. All I've got to say is they're extremely fun to play around with, and majority of these ability outfits are really well designed. So let's move on to the actual fashion side of things. Well, as I said, the main goal of this game is to collect sketches, materials and stuff like that. Basically what you do, sometimes you get sketches from completing quests, talking to NPCs, opening chests, doing many different types of things, and even from your skill tree you get sketches too. And after you get these sketches, they work as like a blueprint, but you need to get materials for these blueprints by getting, well, materials from the open world. This could be flowers, it could be animal fur, it could be enemy materials, it could be anything really. And you collect these, then you create this sketch, and then you get to use this item forever. You don't have to keep crafting the same sketch again if you want to, you know, use the outfit or say it's like a pair of socks, a hat. You don't have to craft it multiple times. You can use it across all of your different outfits. So basically, if it's in use in one outfit that you've created, you can use it in another one with no trouble. You don't have to recreate it or anything like that, which is great because a lot of games will do that, where if it's equipped on an outfit already, you'll have to make a new one, or you'll have to start from scratch, or you know, you get the point. But yeah, there's a crap ton of sketches in this game. There's a bunch of outfits. Obviously, you've got your ability outfits, you've got your normal outfits, and you've got your miracle outfits, which is only one in the game at the minute. I still haven't got it. As I said in the story section of this video, it is pretty hard to obtain it. You have to do all these fashion competition things, and Jesus, there's just a bit too much to do, in my opinion, in terms of the fashion mechanics. It kind of locks the story behind fashion in certain parts. We won't be speaking about that too much though, but that is one of the big flaws of this game, is the pacing. Anyway, there is about, I think 1,400 and something different outfit pieces. So this is socks, this is glasses, this is rings, contact lenses. There is so much to collect in this game. Of course, you've got loads of stuff in the gacha banner, but a majority of it you can completely get and obtain from just playing the game and being free to play, which is honestly great. Which is good that they don't restrict, you know, a majority of the outfit items behind a paywall. I really hate when games do that. It's extremely stupid and it really kills a player base. So honestly, the fashion system is very good, very detailed. I'll show some gameplay in the background of me creating a character. It's extremely detailed, extremely fun. There should be some more customization options for like skin color and some more like eye shapes. I think they really do need to change a few things in the fashion system to really make it, you know, unique, so you can make a character that looks like nothing else anyone else has ever made before, and you can make characters from other games, different types of media. That's what I want for the future of the fashion system, is an even more in-depth system, and I like it already, but it can be improved because it is near perfect. Another cool thing about Infinity Nikki is honestly the combat. At first I thought it seemed a bit too simple, maybe a bit too easy. There is hardly any enemies in this game, if I'm being completely honest. There's not much combat to do, but when you do experience it, at first it's a bit too easy. You just spam one button and they're dead. But as you get into it, you fight bosses, which also implement like platforming mechanics into their, you know, attack style. So you have to platform on top of them, then do like a bash attack on their head, or you'll have to like traverse a tough environment whilst they're shooting at you. It's very cool in my opinion. It's not just that though, the basic enemies do get harder as you know, progress through the game. There's like enemies that shoot projectiles at you and you have to dodge them. These are pretty easy to dodge in my opinion, but you know, it still adds a bit of like, it makes the combat feel very dynamic and different. But there's also shielding enemies, which obviously you have to get behind to kill, and there's also enemies with multiple health bars. There's also a really cool enemy that charges at you from the sky, and then you have to wait until they, you know, get tired, and then you have to hit them. This just adds like a sense of fun to the combat. It's not anything crazy in my opinion, but it is fun and it's a nice little touch. I can't really say too much about it because it is my least favourite part of the game in my opinion, because, you know, I feel like there should be more to do with combat in the open world. There should be more chests to open and stuff like that. But other than that, the combat is great, and I really enjoyed the boss battles. Like, oh my god, that final boss in Chapter 7. Absolutely amazing. The music was great, and it was super fun. I did actually find myself getting hit a lot in some of the bosses, but that was because of glitches, which are great, but they're patched now, so that's fine. Honestly, I don't really know what to talk about next, so I think we're just going to move on to the final verdict. If I've missed anything, I will do a follow-up video, but that will be a retrospective, and it'll be highly detailed and much better than this review, because if I'm being honest, there's a bit too much to talk about in this game, so I found it quite a struggle to record this video, and also my mic quality is getting really bad recently. I don't know what's going on with it. Hopefully that will be fixed soon. So yeah, let's move on to the final verdict of Infinity Nikki 1.0. So, what are my final thoughts on Infinity Nikki version 1.0? Well, honestly, at first I was really enjoying the game. I thought it was absolutely perfect, and it was close to being my game of the year. But with all the grindy mechanics, and there's all of these different things to do, the fashion is a bit too complicated in terms of endgame. If you're not constantly pulling on each banner, you aren't going to be able to beat the end game, at least not until later on in the next few updates. It's a bit too annoying when they lock the story behind side content. It is extremely annoying in my opinion, and that should be a big change that they do in the future, where you won't have to do all of these fashion competitions just to progress in the main story. Of course, I'm going to do the fashion competitions anyway and all the side content, and once I do complete the game, I will do another video on it, maybe like a retrospective as I said, but for now, we're going to be giving Infinity Nikki an 8.5 out of 10. I do think I would have given it a better rating. If certain aspects of the games get fixed, I will change this rating in the future. But for now, the game feels a bit too grindy. It's meant to be cozy, and it is, mostly, but as you get into the later game, there's too much to do, and it gets a bit too overwhelming. And if you think of the things I was speaking about earlier, like these sigil things, there is like 500 of these in each and every region, almost. There's like 200 and some, 500 and some, 300 and some. But the point is, these are like your elemental Oculuses from Genshin. And you know how hard those are to collect. This is way harder, trust me. And this is from a 1.0 release, and there's no way to really track them as far as I can tell. There's no way to pinpoint them on your map unless you're on an interactive map on a third-party software. But either way, there is way too much to do at the minute, and I think they do need to make sure in the next update that things are easier to understand and easier to find, because there's also some materials that when you're trying to find them, you can't, because you have to wait until the daily reset, because some materials you can only get one of every day, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, honestly, I would have given this a better go with this review, but I lost motivation if I'm being honest, because there's not too much I really wanted to talk about, because I kind of fell out of love with this game, and it's a really unfortunate thing, because I did love this game from release. But I'm not going to be biased, I'm not going to pretend I absolutely love this game, because at the minute, in the state it's in, I don't really think I'm going to continue playing if it gets a bit too grindy every single update. But if they do fix things, as I said, I will be continuing to play and I will give it a higher rating. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.